Welcome to Living a Life by Design. It's the journey back to you and living 365 days of purpose with your host, Esther Graham. Did you know your accountability and possibility is by design? God designed a phenomenal life for you, gave you the gift of choice. Esther helps empower you to discover and pursue the purpose that is already in you. Are you ready to look at yourself and see your future? Then get back to what is really important in life and get in alignment with your true self. Stay tuned to Living a Life by Design. Journey back to you and start living 365 days of purpose with your host, Esther Graham. It all starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome to Living a Life by Design with me, your host, Dr. Esther Graham. I'm so super excited that you have taken the time to join us today. And let me tell you, you will not regret it because today I have another powerful guest that's going to be sharing with you, let's say, important skills, leadership skills. And I think no matter where we are today in the world, whatever positions we're in, leadership skills are always something that's important that we all need to work on and always need to build on. So I'm excited about that. So take a quick second, grab your pen, grab your paper, and just get ready for the next, let's say, 45 minutes or so to have a powerful conversation with my special guest, Ingrid Wallace. And Ingrid Wallace, and I'm going to read her bio, y'all, because it's a powerful bio. So with over 40 years of experience, Ingrid Wallace is a trusted executive coach, leadership strategist, known for her ability to help high-impact leaders expand their capacity, clarify their purpose, and lead with courage, vision, and presence. Her work has supported executives in Fortune 100 companies, nonprofit organizations, and institutions across the US, Canada, Germany, and the UK. Ingrid brings a unique blend of deep emotional intelligence, systems-level thinking, and culturally grounded framework to help leaders transform not only their organizations, but themselves. And I just want to add, I met Ingrid, I guess maybe it was about 2 years ago when we were both hired to do some consulting for a nonprofit company with their leaders. And that was phenomenal. And then since then, we've seen each other, saw each other again at a retreat for leaders, and then just, here and there at different places. So it is definitely an honor that Ingrid would take the time and to come because she's extremely busy. And then I'm going to not tell y'all, but at the end, I want her to share a story about herself and Nelson Mandela. And that's all I'm going to say, right? Because that's, for me, it's like, oh, wow. But so Ingrid, so glad that you're with us today. I'm so super excited for you just to take the time.
Oh my goodness, I've been looking so forward to spending this time with you.
Yeah, I have, because I just love to hear honestly Ingrid just speak, because I just think that everything that she says that comes out of her mouth is so powerful, it's so passionate, and it's done with such a way that you're just drawn in. And so today, I want to talk about what I believe that every leader, every entrepreneur, every ministry leader, every organization needs to know. And that is how do we lead in the times and the days that we're living in right now, where I think leadership and the type of leaders we are so important. Oftentimes we focus on production and performance. I know this because I'm in many rooms and meetings to where we're having meetings about production and performance. We're having meetings about trainings. How are we going to train people to produce more and to become this and to do this and all of that? And all of that is great. And yes, it may be needed, but what we don't focus on is the culture that we want to have or create to produce those results. And this is why I'm excited to hear about something I know that you're passionate about. I believe it's the CARE principle. because the CARE principle speaks about authentic communication, active listening, and all of culture and all of these things. So please, I've got some questions, but please let's start off there. Begin to share about yourself, the CARE principle, and anything else that you want to share right now.
Of course, I'm so excited. Where do I begin? Well, the care principle was born out of a need I felt in
Yeah.
corporations to show people, individuals, that you care about them in order for them to perform better.
Mhm.
Simple as that. People who don't feel that you're invested in them, they feel that you don't have they have no skin in the game, they're not
Yeah.
going to perform. Simple as that. And I
Yeah.
was at the time working with Ford Chrysler and General Motors. I trained minority dealers. At that time, the only minority dealers were African Americans. And I trained
Yeah.
every African American car dealer in this country. And I watched them come into a room. They were selected based on their background, the money they were able to make for their individual corporations that they were working for, their individual businesses. So they came into the room and they were so impressive. They were gorgeous. I was very happy.
Yeah.
But they walk into a room and they would be so caught up in their appearance. How do I
Hmm.
look? And they look good, don't get me wrong. They were
Yeah.
caught up in
Yeah.
their appearance and they were caught up in how are they gonna outdo one another? And I said, well, this doesn't make any sense because you're a very small fraction of the population. And in terms
Yeah.
of Ford or Chrysler or General Motors, they probably really don't care about you. I can assure you that. I said, so you have to care about one another.
Mm.
Because if I have a room of 30 at a time, they had enough talent and enough background and enough experience to run Ford Motor Company, 30 of them, to run General Motors, to run the country. That's the kind
Hmm.
of expertise and brilliance that was in one of those rooms. I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
so to focus on caring about how your brother does in this class. You have to focus on how to make them successful. Because if you're in a group of people and they can't be successful, you're not going to be successful either.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And the thing that was missing was a formula that would help them do that. We tell people all the time, do unto others if you have them do unto you and, care
Hmm.
about everybody, but we never tell them or hold them accountable as to how to do it.
Right. Right.
So I
Right.
decided I'd come up with a formula. A friend of mine actually suggested it to me. I said, so care, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Can see is for consideration. Let's consider some things we never considered before. When I'm talking to principals in schools, I'm talking to educators. I said, consider that your child comes to school and they make 1,000 decisions. Whether
Hmm.
to walk, run, whether to go someplace else, whether to talk with a gang leader, talk with a drug dealer, just between your house and the school door.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then they go sit in front of somebody who is not a decision maker because we don't train our teachers to be decision makers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Consider that. And I said, and another formula, part of the formula, um, too, is, awareness. And awareness is about emotional intelligence. What is the effect that you have on other people? And you understand they
Hmm.
have on you. And in order to get the best out of someone, what do you need to be aware of? We do that
Hmm.
in corporations with personality indicators and all that sort of thing. But we can also, in organizations take environmental scans but take a personal scan.
Yeah.
If someone is always making you angry, if someone is always doing this, or someone's always doing that, become aware of what you are doing to trigger that thing every single time, and that result is the
Mm.
same.
Yeah. Yeah.
The third element is respect. Everybody can use little
Yeah.
RESPECT, but what does it look like? So one thing, we say these things all the time. What does respect look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do we actively show people respect? How do we understand that they have something to offer? That's the best way to do it. When someone
Yeah.
does not do what we want them to do, or we have an argument with them, or we fall out with them, we assign them a value of 0. And then all of a sudden we need them and their stock goes straight up.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
do you make sure that you are understanding enough about yourself and them and what they have to offer? That you can respect what they have, use what they have, combine it with what you have, and produce success.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because most likely you're not going to be able to do it alone, at least not for long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you take these three things in a consideration, awareness, and respect, and then you put them together skillfully to form engagement. You can, I
Mm,
promise, more effectively engage individuals, knowing that there's something you need to consider. Maybe they had a bad morning. Maybe some people have a disease, they're walking around, you don't even know it.
yeah, yeah.
Awareness. Why does this person treat you the way they do? I had a client in a huge corporation. I actually used huge association, a national association at the top, and her boss was driving her crazy. And she said, she doesn't like me, and I even think it's probably discrimination. So let's talk about it. So I did some personality indicators with her. I said, do you know that?
Hmm.
So what you told me, your boss needs approval, even from you. And so she started, because she's an expert, she started helping her boss understand that, she was going in the right direction. She was taking the division in the right direction, etc. They became best friends. They worked together for 10 years. They
Wow.
became best friends because this person finally understood that the boss needed something. So then they could effectively engage once they knew all that about one another.
Hmm. Hmm.
And engagement is everything.
Hmm.
That's how you exchange your ideas, your feelings, and you get a little soul mixing at the same time.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So good. So it's C, care,
Hmm. See, consideration, A,
consideration. I'm sorry.
awareness is A, respect is R,
But
and engagement is E, care. It's a verb.
this is this is so good. So we're about to take a break really fast, but when we come back, I'd like to talk about, how do you move? You talked about the 30 people that came into the
Uh,
room. The how 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 can we move them from where they are to that next level, the leaders, to where let's now put some of this into how do we move them, because some of them may still be operating in this is what we do. How do we begin to move them to that? We'll be right back, and that will be our next topic of discussion. See
Sure.
you in a second.
Thank
The Crystal Coach Show, sharing clarity, guidance, and practical wisdom with me, Anahata, every third Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time on transformationtalkradio.com. On The Crystal Coach Show, we channel divine wisdom through stories of service, spirituality, and stones for self-care. Feel connected and reside in the vibration of love. For more information and to connect with me, visit thecrystalcoach.com. That's thecrystalcoach.com.
What if one decision could change everything? Cherise Evans, best-selling author of The Power of One, The 5 Essential Keys to Success, knows that transformation starts within. Let Cherise help you discover your authentic self and live with confidence, purpose, and joy. Whether you're ready to grow your career, your relationships, or your mindset, Cherise can show you how to elevate. Book with her today at shareevans.com.
Festa della Donna with Esther Graham honors all women far beyond a single day of celebration. Regardless of your race, gender, sexual orientation, or religion, Esther helps you rise to your full potential to live fully in God's plan and to do what you were divinely created to do. Festa della Donna offers programs that help you fulfill your dreams and desires. For more information and to get your free copy of the Festa della Donna Retreat Self-Care Guide, visit fdbwomen.com.
What if justice wasn't just about systems, but about the soul? Join us on the Spiritual Justice Show with me, Eric S. Lee, on the Transformation Network each first and third Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. We bring together leaders, healers, and change makers to explore a new vision of justice, restorative, transformative, and deeply spiritual. Find out how spiritual justice could be your missing piece to transformation.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Living a Life by Design with me, your host, Dr. Esther Graham, and my very special guest, Ingrid Wallace. And we have been speaking about leadership, basically the CARE principle, which is consideration, awareness, respect, and engagement when it comes to leaders. And if you recall, before I said this is a conversation for all levels and all types of leaders, for ministry leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, corporate leaders, organization, educational leaders. This is a conversation for leaders. And so, Ingrid, we left off to where you gave us what the acronym, what CARE means, the acronym: consideration, awareness, respect, and engagement. And then I asked the question, how, as we follow these things, how do we move a leader up? Like, how do we get them to where we see that where they're incorporating all of these things and it works like beautifully into a system? I know that's a loaded question, but what are some basic, like, let's just start right here.
Okay. Well, talk about relationally. Every leader has subordinates. What is your relationship like with your subordinate? Are you thinking about how to get them promoted? What are you trying to do? I work with some of the best leaders in the world, and a friend of mine was CEO of a $6 billion organization. She left that organization actually and came back to the parent company and is in charge of people worldwide. And I asked her, I said, well, how do you like it? She said, I love it. I said, why? She said, because I have 3 leaders working for me, directly for me. She said, and they are so good. 3 women. She said, they are so good at what they do. They are so smart and so competent. My job is to find out, when they ask me something, a way to say yes.
I
That is
love
the
that.
best leadership statement I've ever heard in my entire professional
Yeah, that's
career.
good. That's good.
It is my job to find a way to say yes. And what we have to do, leaders have to do, is number one, understand that the people that work for them are smart, or should be, and even smarter, and to get them to the point where they understand they can offer ideas that will be accepted, and that leader has to be able to accept them with grace
Yeah.
and be able to help them grow. Else you're not leading.
Yeah. Be able to help them grow, accept them with grace, or you're not leading.
That's
Yeah.
right. They're not leading.
Important. So,
And
yeah.
somebody else said to me, Dr. Esther, they said, well, what am I going to do? I've been trying to get to the next level, and I can't get to the next level. I said, well, and she said, I'm just really just right on the threshold of being in the executive offices, and it's that ceiling. It's not a ceiling, it's a door. It's a doorstep. You step across the door. It's not that big a distance. I said, but what you have to understand is all these people you're, trying to appeal to and cater to and kowtow to, they're not going to pull you up. The people who work for you are going to push you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you develop them properly, and if you give them what they need, and if you treat them as though they were your customer, they will push you up.
Yeah. As they say, that part right there, treat them. I always talk about internal customers and external customers. Your internal customers, that's your staff, your employees, your subordinates, and how are you treating them? We have to make sure that our internal customers are well taken care of. So, when we think about that, moving them, would you say that how they communicate is really important, like intentional communication?
Absolutely. And talk like you care
Yeah.
about them. Ask
Yeah.
them questions,
Yeah.
consider some things. Become aware of their personalities. You become aware of what they need. And by treat them like a customer, which is part of the care principle, I define a customer as anyone who needs a product, a service, information, authority, or resources. That means the
Ah,
person who works for you, if they are going to be true to being effective, they have to be able to have enough authority, information, or resources to serve the outside customer. That's the difference between your
yeah.
internal customers and your external customers.
Yes.
I learned that
Yes.
working for Walt Disney. I was the first person ever in Walt Disney's history to have sold and conducted leadership programs in their organization, in their history.
Yeah.
And I saw what they did. I observed very carefully. And I took that information and I turned it into the leadership courses that I do today, also combined with responsibility and accountability. How do you take responsibility for producing results and be accountable for what you do? Don't blame other people. Don't find fault. That's a cultural element that we had to throw in. And once you do that, once you've figured out how to care about people, how to not blame other people and take responsibility and accountability for what it is you're supposed to do, you will be successful.
Yeah. I love it. Accountability. And then when you as the leader begin to take accountability, everyone else sees it and they follow suit, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so when we're thinking about, when we're thinking about the care principle, right? We know that you yourself, you've used it to transform team cultures,
Yes.
and relationships. So share with me a little bit about what that looks like with what you've done.
Let's see, there's so many teams that
Yeah.
I've talked to. I worked with, for instance, one leader who had a team, a global team,
Yeah.
and the owner of the company, he was driving him crazy because he said he's slow. The team is complaining. These are Gen Xers, they're millennials, they're complaining about this old guy who's been there
Yeah.
40 years. And they're saying that he slows them down. He's executive vice president, he's slowing them down. And I said, okay, if you're slowing them down, why are you slowing them down? Consider something. And what it was is he had one degree. They're all PhDs from Harvard and Yale, and they had an incredible chemical kind of company, And he said, well, I know I'm slow. I said, what are you going to do about that? And once he became aware, he decided to take some courses to speak more clearly and quickly and do all kinds of other things. But the thing he had to realize more than anything is that they knew what they were doing. They knew what they
Yeah.
and what he was doing was attending every single meeting that they attended. So he could understand what they were saying, so he could sound smart too.
Yeah.
And I said, you're the executive vice president. You don't need to sound smart. They need to
Yeah.
sound smart. So
Yeah.
he signed himself out of the next year over 200 meetings. And it's possible for an executive to have those number of meetings in a year. He signed himself
Yeah.
out of all those meetings. He said, and the company, the leaders started to flourish. They flourished. He didn't have a thing to do except figure out a way to say yes.
So do you think then it's important for leaders to demonstrate that they trust their team, right?
Yeah.
And how could you demonstrate that, or what's the word I'm looking for? How could, let's say, that subordinate, that person, what do you look for to show that you can trust them? Okay, or do you just say, I'm just going to go ahead and trust?
Well, I use tools. I give them tools.
Yeah.
So let's use a
Okay.
delegation tool. Let's use a 4-level delegation tool. I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, let's look at what you do all day, every day. You do 10 things. Let's look on a scale of 4 categories. If you're doing 10 things, which category does each thing fit into? If I delegate it to you, do I trust you to just do it? That's category number 1. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to follow it up. I know it's done. Level number 2, act and report. You do it and you come back and you tell me that it's done, right? Level number 3, I want you to talk to me. You have something to do. I want you to proceed until it's ready to publish, present, implement, but talk to me first in case I want to change something. Then level number 4, don't breathe until I tell you to. And level number 4 is usually for a new employee.
Yeah.
And the more seasoned employee, you expect them to be at level number 4. Just do it. What happens is employees sitting there for 20 years still at level number 2. Level number 3, I should say. Act out, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that? So you learn to coach them. I train them how to coach them to get to the next level. Say you're at level number 3, but you should be at level number 2. You're level number 4, but in 30 days, you have to be at level number 2. And give them what they need training, if they need coaching, whatever it is. But most of all, they're usually frightened or they're complacent. Instead of being frightened and complacent, okay, let's do this. Let's say you're giving you 30 days, to get to level number 2, then we'll evaluate it.
Yeah.
Because what that does, it gives them a choice. The employee has a choice. And they understand that if they do what they need to do and they're supposed to do it, which is what a job is called, okay, they will get to level number, the next level, and you keep moving up. And if everybody in those 10 functions can move to the level numbers 2 or 1, they're ready to be promoted.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
promoted themselves. You have to empower them.
Yeah.
People don't understand that power is a source of energy. That's the definition. And energy is the
Yeah.
ability to do work. So you can empower, you can say you empower somebody, but unless you transfer the feeling that it's okay for them to go do it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. 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 So important. So, but again, when we're thinking about this now we've got the levels, the tools. Suppose though you have this leader
Mm-hmm.
that's, I'm going to just throw all kinds of stuff out to
Okay.
you.
Okay. I love it. I love
Suppose
it.
you have this leader, because many times, many of us deal with leaders that, sometimes they're just always seeing the glass half empty instead of full, or
Mm-hmm.
they're very black and white. It's like,
Yes. Yes. That's right.
and many times when they walk in to speak, it's not so much what they say, but how they say it. And it's done so to where sometimes people don't even want to see them coming, because like
Right.
they don't know what they're going to get.
Mm-hmm. That comes under kind of 2 headings for me. And one of
Okay.
them is attitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
Attitude, people don't think that attitude is something that should be on a performance review. It
Yeah,
should, because it's
it
affecting
should be.
performance. It's perfecting performance. And I say the attitude
Yeah.
is the way you express what you're thinking, feeling, or experiencing, period. And a positive
Yeah.
attitude means you are generating energy that goes in a positive direction. A negative attitude means you are generating energy that goes away from a result in a negative direction. There's
Right.
accountability for that. That's number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to be people have to be held accountable for how they speak to people, what kind of environment they create, what kind of energy they generate in an environment, because it's going to
Yeah.
help your people work or not. And I tell
Yeah.
leaders when I'm
Yeah.
coaching them, I'm very direct, but I'm even more supportive.
Yeah. 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 That's so good. Because it's always been, how do leaders support leaders who support their leaders? And it goes down to where now everyone is functioning and doing everything, and there's no um dissension in the ranks, or there's, everybody, we all have this one common goal.
Mhm.
This culture has been created. And I think one of the things that we especially struggle with, especially when I look at some of the things here, education system and all of these different things, it's the culture. Creating that culture seems to be so difficult.
Mhm.
And so how do we really go about creating this culture, right, to
Mhm.
where everything that you've just said will come together? And I know it's not a genie in the bottle. I know
Mhm.
there's no like quick
Hard work.
fix or anything. It's
Hard.
hard work. But how do we do it? I want to say without getting frustrated or wanting to quit, although frustration will naturally come because we're just dealing with people.
Yes.
But how do we go about doing that? So I want you to pin that thought for a minute, and we're going to take a quick break.
What if your training isn't enough? The Multicultural Mindset Podcast invites counselors and therapists to unlearn the one-size-fits-all approach. This isn't cultural competence. It's a way of being that brings racialized experiences from the margins to the very center of care. Let's stop pathologizing Black pain and start challenging the system that created the bias in the first place. Visit newseasons.training to subscribe.
Festa della Donna with Esther Graham honors all women far beyond a single day of celebration. Regardless of your race, gender, sexual orientation, or religion, Esther helps you rise to your full potential to live fully in God's plan and to do what you were divinely created to do. Festa della Donna offers programs that help you fulfill your dreams and desires. For more information and to get your free copy of the Festa della Donna Retreat Self-Care Guide, visit fdbwomen.com.
There is more to life than simply surviving or even thriving. There's flourishing. High performance and quantum success coach Beth Larson helps you calibrate and elevate your life. Beth specializes in working with women who want more from their life, more energy, joy, passion, connection, and more meaning. As your coach, she will help you get clear about your life, prioritize what's important, and become a master of your energy. Visit BethLarsonCoaching.com.
Do you want to better understand and embrace neurodiversity? I'm Dr. Lori Noto, with over 30 years of experience working with diverse and unique individuals. Through my consulting and purpose-driven life coaching, I focus on empowering individuals with disabilities. My passion is advocacy, providing the tools for neurodiverse individuals to thrive and feel included in classrooms, workplaces, and communities. Unlock the potential of possibility, power, and purpose. Connect with me today at notoholisticconsulting.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's continue our conversation with Ingrid Wallace, and we're discussing the CARE principle, consideration, awareness, respect, and engagement, and what all of that has to do with leadership, which y'all, it has everything to do with leadership, and such a powerful conversation. I honestly feel like this has to be like more than one conversation. You know what I mean? Because I think like we're just skimming the surface. Right. Which is good. But I do feel like if this has to be a deeper conversation, especially when I, look at leadership and how everyone is approaching leadership in these days and times. And I understand that we're all under various levels of pressure on the federal level, state level, all different levels, leadership, and we're all being impacted. But there's something I think within us that where we have to say, we need to function like this and do the right thing. And so then how can we create this culture? Because at the end of the day, as leaders, our responsibility is create a culture for the people that we are serving, meaning our employees, our staff, or, subordinates, or however, our co-leaders, right? We have to create together a culture where people would want to stay because they're thriving. They spend 8 hours plus a time at work. I don't want you to be unhappy in whatever job that you're doing. How can we then come together and create that culture?
Absolutely. And it starts with the leader, starts with leadership, starts with a decision and a strategic plan. You have to be intentional.
Yeah.
It has to be part of the plan. What are we going to do to be better? Act better towards one another. How we're going to care about one another. There's a book called The Soul of a Leader. And I thought about that because I heard about one of your talks. I heard in one of your talks, Dr. Esther, you said, I have to make sure my soul is well. That stuck with me, and that's what we're talking about. How do we get leaders to understand that they have to make sure their soul is well? And you can't do that unless you're treating people well. I was doing something for I think it was a Methodist church for the assembly. And I talked about the CARE principle. And they said, how dare you bring this corporate stuff into a religious atmosphere? And how dare you, talk about things that are not, germane to, religion. I said, well, I don't know how to tell you this, but I got CARE from the Bible. I'm bringing religious principles into the workplace. I'm not bringing the workplace into the church. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm talking about. We're trying to separate these things. They're not separate.
No.
These principles are everywhere. And if we understand them and use them and adjust to them and hold people accountable for them, I'm not going to be a leader and watch you as my subordinate treat your people that well. I'm not going to stand for that. So there has to be some kind of what I call code of behavior. That's part of the strategic plan.
Yeah.
How are we going to treat each other?
Yeah.
How are we going to be accountable to each other for treating people well? And what are the rewards? Let's talk about the rewards when we do. What do we get as a result? And how will we be different a year from now than we are right now if we do these.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Got to be strategic and
Yeah.
intentional.
Yeah. It's so important. You keep speaking about um, being strategic and intentional. And I think that's so important because if we're not, then we're not going to accomplish these different things, going back to what you said, the organization said, how could you bring these principles into the church? Oh no, that's exactly where it's needed. You
Mhm.
know, this isn't just corporate principle. This is overall principle,
Absolutely.
for
Mhm.
and that's why I said it's for every leader, whether you're a ministry leader, that's pastor, whatever leader you are in the church, um, in your organization as an entrepreneur. But listen, my husband and I, we do a lot of marriage mentoring
Yes, I'm
and
aware of
retreats.
that.
But
Mhm.
yeah, and listen, but there's leadership in marriage as well. And
Absolutely.
so this principle right here is also for marriages, the consideration,
Absolutely.
the awareness, the respect, the engagement.
Mhm.
So this is a principle that's across all ages. And this is a I want to say it's a high impact principle.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, to where if you're really intentional and you put this to work, you'll see some things change
You
in
will.
your marriage,
That's
in
right.
your organization,
In your
right?
in your life.
In your life as a whole, if you incorporate the care principle,
Mhm.
right? And in an area I know today, we're primarily speaking about leadership. Well, I think we're just speaking about leadership. I was going to say leadership in business, but I think this is just about leadership, period. Is
Mhm.
is that, you have to begin to think about what type of culture do I want to create? Or maybe will the first question be, what type of leader am I?
Yes.
And what
Absolutely.
is the culture I want to curate
Hmm.
in my organization or my
Absolutely.
department or,
Hmm. Absolutely. And you
you
see that
know,
every company has a personality. And
every company has a
it's usually the
personality.
personality of the leader.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah. I,
we talk about the care principle. That's an awareness people have to have. Leaders have to have that.
yeah. What type of, and it's funny because, one of my past lives in one of the companies I worked for, and I used to, like, for my leadership team, they would do anything for me. But one of the reasons that they would is that we created a culture to where no matter what, we worked together. We did this, we did that, and it trickled down to everybody else. So it's the top level leadership, and then it trickled down to the middle level leadership, and then the next level to where everyone. And so if I would call and say, hey guys, we have this coming up and we all need to put in a Saturday, it was no backlash. It was
Hmm.
okay. What time do we need to be there? Or it was, you know what? I have an event. Let me see if I could switch it. Or you understand? Or I can come after. In other words, the culture was just created to where there was so much teamwork, but it didn't happen overnight.
No, not at all.
It it took a lot of what you spoke of. I think it was earlier, that intentional communication.
Hmm.
It took that strategic plan, because many times we don't think that we need to have a strategy for leadership, right?
Absolutely.
We think
Absolutely.
we have to have a strategy for, we do our 3 to 5 year strategic plan. It's for everything else,
Hmm.
but it's never for leadership. And so all of that is so, how do I say, it's just so important. And I have to keep going back to, um, especially for what we're experiencing today, because I think we're experiencing it outwardly and we're experiencing it inwardly as well. We're looking at examples of leadership all across the board in every area. And I know even my grandson is wondering, well, what kind of leader, and he's a teenager and he's looking at leadership and saying, what kind of leader? And I'm like, well, let's look about how you can communicate and how you can listen and how you could do things in integrity, and how let your yays be yays and your nays be nays. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. I teach a course called Leading with Accountability and Responsibility. And
yeah.
I teach it for people who are have non-contributors or kids. It's called personal responsibility and developing excellence, pride. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you need to do for yourself? What responsibility do you need to take? Every employee, you have signed a covenant with an organization. You promise to do something in a certain amount of time at a certain level of excellence. That's your covenant. How are you
Yeah,
taking
I love it.
responsibility to make sure that happens? When I talk to kids, I say it's your responsibility to do your homework. I get promotions and I get promoted and I get um, evaluated. You get grades and you get promoted.
Yeah. Hmm.
How are you going to take responsibility that you do everything you need to do to get promoted? How are you going to make sure you do everything you need to do to get to the next level? That's your
Yeah.
responsibility. And
Yeah.
fault and blame happen in the absence of a result.
Yeah.
So if you haven't taken responsibility to produce that result, all of a sudden fault and blame goes flying around. How do we eliminate it from our space?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and when I was working for the car dealers, they said, please teach us our children. So they brought their children in. When I was at AT&T, said, please teach it to our children because it's a cultural concept.
Yeah. It's a
Taking
cultural concept. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. So, how do as we build all of this, how do we then do a reward? Like, should we reward them? Like,
absolutely, absolutely. But I think if we do things like the delegation tool I was telling you about, and they look and see that, my God, 30 days ago I was here and now I'm able to do this. They've rewarded themselves. That's part of the
oh
empowerment.
yeah.
And then you acknowledge them, and that's part of the reward. But they've done it
Mhm.
themselves. Always figure out a way they can do it themselves. I think you heard me talk about drama, the drama triangle, and how you rescue
Yeah.
people. When you rescue
Yeah.
people, you rob them of their dignity. When you assist them and give them the wherewithal to do it themselves, it's like
Yeah.
having the fish and
Yeah.
getting someone to fish and teaching them to fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Instead of just
oh yeah.
big difference, big difference, big difference. Yeah. Yeah. We're about to take another quick break and we'll be right back.
The Crystal Coach Show, sharing clarity, guidance, and practical wisdom with me, Anahata, every third Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time on transformationtalkradio.com. On The Crystal Coach Show, we channel divine wisdom through stories of service, spirituality, and stones for self-care. Feel connected and reside in the vibration of love. For more information and to connect with me, visit thecrystalcoach.com. That's thecrystalcoach.com.
What if one decision could change everything? Cherise Evans, best-selling author of The Power of One, The 5 Essential Keys to Success, knows that transformation starts within. Let Cherise help you discover your authentic self and live with confidence, purpose, and joy. Whether you're ready to grow your career, your relationships, or your mindset, Cherise can show you how to elevate. Book with her today at shareevans.com.
Festa della Donna with Esther Graham honors all women far beyond a single day of celebration. Regardless of your race, gender, sexual orientation, or religion, Esther helps you rise to your full potential to live fully in God's plan and to do what you were divinely created to do. Festa della Donna offers programs that help you fulfill your dreams and desires. For more information and to get your free copy of the Festa della Donna Retreat Self-Care Guide, visit fdbwomen.com.
What if justice wasn't just about systems, but about the soul? Join us on the Spiritual Justice Show with me, Eric S. Lee, on the Transformation Network each first and third Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. We bring together leaders, healers, and change makers to explore a new vision of justice, restorative, transformative, and deeply spiritual. Find out how spiritual justice could be your missing piece to transformation.
Hey everyone, we're back with Ingrid Wallace and we're continuing our conversation. I hope that you're enjoying it and make sure that as you're listening, heart it up. If you've got questions, ask questions and we always can get back to you with your questions. So Ingrid, let's continue the conversation. I have one question for you and then we'll have a couple, but let me ask you this. Do you believe people leave organizations because of systems and structures or because they no longer feel cared about, heard, or valued within the culture?
I think number two is probably most true. And there's a
Yeah.
subset of number two. They leave the company most times because of someone.
Ah, yeah. I always say people leave leaders and not the actual job. I don't know if that's correct, but
It's true. It's absolutely true.
yeah.
Absolutely true. They're trying to get away from someone. And
Hmm.
when I'm coaching executives, one of the things I pride myself in being able to do is that person who's so huge and such a boogeyman, I get to shrink that person to normal size so they can consider some things about them.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's
When
good.
we're done, that person is not such a horrible, huge, they may be a terrible example of a leader, but you have to put that in perspective in terms of what you
Yeah.
want done. Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. A lot. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So here comes my one question. So
Yeah.
y'all, when I met Ingrid, well, not when I met her, when we saw each other during the summer, this past summer, Ingrid, we were talking and Ingrid pulled out a picture. And I looked at that picture and I said, is that Nelson Mandela? And she said, yeah. So Ingrid, please tell us the story about, and if you can, weave it into your leadership because you are a phenomenal leader and you've done great things. And that's really how you met him, right? Is
Yeah.
on a leadership. So yeah, talk about
I
that.
was
Please
I was
share.
asked. I've been so fortunate. I've been asked throughout my career to do things, and I thought it came out of the clear blue sky, right? And somebody informed me, no, it did not come out of the clear blue sky. And one owner of a company said, Ingrid, I'm asking you to do this because I've always liked the way you've carried yourself. I don't know what you do specifically, but I've always liked the way you carry yourself, and I'd like to incorporate that in what I'm doing for my company. Like, okay, fine. So, another friend of mine came to me and he said, I would like for you to help me. Mr. Mandela is being released from prison. And I was president of the League of Black Women in Chicago and nationally at that time. And I'd had 131 professional women from South Africa come to Chicago. And we hosted them and found out a lot about, the culture there. And this was still during apartheid. And
Yeah.
shortly thereafter, Mr. Mandela was released. He made two stops on the first was in Chicago and the second was in Detroit. Those are the only two cities he came to when he came out of prison, got out of prison. So when he came to Chicago, I believe it was the National Bar Association. I can't remember which one it was,
Mhm.
hosted him, and the person who was president at the time said, Ingrid, I would love for you to be on the committee to host them. There are 8 of us, and my job was to be in charge of protocol.
Mhm.
And so we were able to meet with him an hour or so earlier, and we just hung out with him for an hour. He was
Wow.
so amazing. And he was not amazing in a way you might think of in celebrity terms. He was
Yeah.
amazing. He was so normal. He was so happy. He was peaceful. He was kind. He was strong.
Hmm.
That internal strength, radiate.
Right.
Don't forget,
Right.
he was such a leader. He turned those guards into students
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
at Robin Island.
Powerful.
And it radiated. He could have been so bitter. He could have been so mean. He could have been so distracted. He was not. He was gracious. He was focused. That's leadership.
That's leadership.
That's
Yeah.
leadership. 28 years later, you know what you need to do as a leader.
Mm.
That's how he could go back to South Africa and be that way. But he was amazing. He was delightful
Yeah.
and he was giving. He
Yeah.
blessed us. We thought we were blessing him and doing all this for him. He did this for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's so, so good. Do you think, when you look at Mr. Mandela and just from your own experience, often we hear that leaders are born and then we hear that leaders are made, they're created. What do you think that really is? Or is it a combination of both?
A little of both. I think so. I think everybody has
Yeah.
some leadership in them.
Yeah.
It depends on what your desires are. I think we can spark it as people who deal, you know yourself. You're training children to be leaders.
Yeah.
You really are.
Yeah.
You're producing a product. We don't understand as a nation, we're producing a product. And that product is
Hmm.
our children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're a company.
Yeah.
I told Ford Motor Company once, I said, if these dealers, these minority dealers aren't successful, if they're only getting 25% of success rate, would you exist as a company if your car was only 25% successful? If
Yeah.
75% of it failed? until we can figure out how to make our children leaders, we're not going to be successful as a country.
Yeah.
And that's why that care
That's
principle extends to the smallest child and the
to the
old.
smallest. Yeah. Yeah. And I love what you just said. Until we can teach them how to be leaders, then we won't be successful as a country. We often say they're our future tomorrow, they're our leaders, but what are we doing, you
Yes.
know, to teach them? And it really does start from a very young age. Honestly, I believe it starts from the womb, you
Yeah.
know, it starts from the womb. And so doing that, and as we teach them and as they grow, then they become great, strong leaders. But it all depends on what we're putting in them, you know, even now. Yeah. So
What are we
good.
investing? Yes.
Yeah, what's our investment? And it's not just monetary. It's the
Absolutely not.
time. It's
No.
that love. It's that care principle.
The care.
It's that consideration, that awareness, that respect, that engagement. It's all of that. It's all of that. It's so powerful, so powerful. So tell us, Ingrid, how can anyone in my audience, how can they reach you?
Well, it's my name. It's Ingrid Wallace Presents. Is the organization is www.ingridwallacepresents.com. And I would welcome all and any inquiries, and I love speaking to people and talking about how we can make things better.
Yeah, amen. So good. So you guys, make sure that can you repeat it again? Make sure that you're writing that down. Plus, it will be posted on the website to where you can get it as well, right? But it's www.ingridwallacepresents.com. All right. So make sure that you go on there and inquire, you know, bring her to your organizations to do leadership training, to speak on leadership. I will tell you, I've heard her a couple times, maybe 3 times, and it's powerful. It's powerful. So I'm excited about it. So guys, if you tune in, this will be make sure that you share this with everyone so they can hear it as well. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, you know, hit me up on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. And yes, I did say hit me up, meaning for those of you who are older, go ahead and connect with me on that. Connect with me. I look forward to hearing from you. We've got a lot of things coming up. Our marriage mentorship, our marriage retreats are coming up. Our international leadership retreat is coming up in October, and I'm so super excited. If you want to know information about it, go to the website and you will get all of the information that you need. Meanwhile, live every day with intention, live every day by design and not by default. I love you. I appreciate you. God bless you. Take care. Ingrid, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'll be in Chicago soon, so I will definitely be contacting you so we could go out to dinner or lunch together. And thank you again for just gracing us with your presence. Take care. Take care, everyone.
You have been listening to Living a Life by Design and Living 365 Days of Purpose with host Esther Graham. Listen or watch live every second and fourth Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific on transformationtalkradio.com. Discover that what is possible is already in you. God designed a phenomenal life for you. Esther helps you ignite that energy behind your personal journey for a deeper joy and peace. Living 365 Days of Purpose. For more information on living a life by design, visit fddwomen.com.